Good day, magandang araw po. My name is Maria Concepcion de Oro and I will be your presenter for this video. So before I start my presentation, let me just ask you a very simple question. Ayan. So bakit ka po ba bumabangon? 'Di ba? Parang pang commercial ng kape lang naman, 'di ba? Or let me rather ask, para kanino ka ba nagmamasteral? Ayan, so some of us may say para sa pamilya, para sa promotion, para sa professional development, and we have different reasons pa. But regardless of those reasons, I believe that those reasons have something to do with our motivation. Ayan, so in this video, we are going to discuss about motivating our employees. And since we're in a management class, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a manager. So bilang mga managers, mahalaga pa na motivated ang ating mga employees? Ayan. So, before we answer that question, let's first have the definition of the word motivation. So, motivation, it is the intention of achieving a goal leading to a goal-directed behavior. And this makes employees willing to go the extra mile to provide excellent services. So, in that sense, mahalaga pala itong motivation na to. Bakit? Because without the proper motivation, kapag tinatamad ang ating mga employees, even if they have the skill, the ability to perform their job, but they lacked with that motivation, the output that they will be going to give to our company might be less, diba? So in this video, I'm going to discuss about different theories that has something to do with the level of motivation of our employees. So I hope that at the end of this video, malaman natin kung ano ba yung mga factors or ano ba yung mga dahilan kung bakit na bumababa or tumataas ang motivation ng ating mga employees. Ayan. So, let's first discuss about the need-based theories of motivation. Ano ba sinasabing tong need-based theories? So, basically, it says that ang mga empleyado natin ay may kanya-kanyang pangangailangan. And whether we like it or not, those needs, kapag hindi na-meet ng mga employers or ng institution, makaka-apekto siya sa level ng motivation ng employees. So, under these theories, magdi-discuss tayo ng apat. So, first one is all about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, what is this all about ba? So, this hierarchy of needs is proposed by Abraham Maslow. And according to him, may pagkakasunod-sunod ang pangangailangan ng tao. And he categorized it into different hierarchy. So, on the first hierarchy of needs, he put the physiological needs, or basically these are just the basic needs, are food, shelter, and then warmth. So, these physiological needs, as an employee, makukuha nila to if they have the good paycheck. Sakto ba yung kanilang kikitain sa kumpanyang ito? For example, nakakabuhay na ba ang 13K a month per se sa kanila, or will this be good enough for them to sustain their lives? Ayan, so kung ang employee ay naisip nila siguro na ay kulang ang 13K, parang hindi na siya nakakabuhay, parang pan-shopping na lang siya. So more likely, pwede silang yung motivation nila to do their job maybe less kasi hindi na-meet yung kanilang needs eh. And after that physiological needs, meron pa tayong tinatawag na safety. It is the security or health. Yung company ba na papasukan nila, does it offer different kinds of benefits such as health insurance, retirement plans, and job security? Okay, so sabihin natin meron, di motivated pa rin si employee. Okay, maganda dito sa company na pinagtatrabahuhan ko. And next to that safety, we have this love and belongingness. Tanggap ba ako ng aking mga katrabaho, or ako ba ay pinagchichismisan lang nila for something na ginawa ko on the past, something like that. So, toxic ba yung mga katrabaho ko? Is it worth it na meron akong mataas na sweldo at ayos na benefit? Kung toxic naman yung work environment na ginagalawan ko. And once they are able to get that connection with their fellow employees, makukuha na nila ang tinatawag nating respect or esteem sa kanilang sarili. So, this respect, paano ba ito makukuha sa trabaho? We can say that promotion and opportunities and recognition of accomplishment. So, napupuri ba ako ni manager or something like that? Na-value ba yung mga accomplishments na ginagawa ko? So, nare-respeto ba ako ng aking mga colleagues sa aking mga ginagawa? And after that STEAM, we have the self-actualization, or the moment where an employee can realize their full potential. Ano ba yung mga kaya kong gawin at mga hindi ko kayang gawin? So, makukuha ito ni employees through providing them the development and growth opportunities and assigning them in interesting and challenging work. Ayan. So, kasi kung minsan, iisip ni employee na ang kanyang skill ay hindi nagagamit because ito lang yung binibigay sa kanyang trabaho. So, we as manager, we can give them interesting and challenging task for them so that they may realize their full potential. Okay, next theory, let's discuss about the ERG theory. So basically, this ERG theory is just some sort of modification with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, ano pinagkaiba nila? Kung ang Maslow's hierarchy ay para siyang hagdan na kailangan mong akyatin step by the step para sumakses ka, itong ERG theory naman, it does not rank needs in any particular order and explicitly recognizes that more than one need may operate at a given time. So kung sa Maslow's hierarchy, isa-isa dito sabay-sabay sila. And ano ba tong ERG na ERG? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng ERG? So ERG stands for existence, relatedness, and growth. So first, existence, these needs correspond to Maslow physiological needs and safety needs. So ano ba yun? Pwede yung kanilang mga paycheck and salary and the benefits that they have in that particular company. Next one, R, is for relatedness. So these needs corresponds to their social needs. Are they being accepted? Are they belong to that particular group in their company? Something like that. And last is the growth. So growth, this refers to a Maslow's theme and self-actualization. So the theory has a frustration regression hypothesis, suggesting that individuals who are frustrated in their attempts to satisfy one need may regress to another one. So for example, nakikita ng employee na hindi nasusupport ang kanyang development or ang kanyang growth as an employee sa company na to. Siguro maisip niya, hindi naman nakikita ng manager ko yung aking potential. Makikipagchismisan na lang ako sa aking mga katrabaho, di ba? So, dahil hindi na-fulfill yung kanyang growth, nagre-regress siya into different factors. And example is that relatedness. Whereas, instead na siya ay magtrabaho ng mabuti, makikipagchismisan na lang siya. And that act of pakikipagchismisan may affect the product or output that this employee is giving to the company. Okay. Next theory is we have the two-factor theory. So, ano naman tong theory na to? So, this theory approach the question of motivation by asking individuals what satisfies them on the job and what dissatisfies them. It gives the conclusion that aspects of the work environment that satisfy employees are very different from the aspect that dissatisfy them. So, in this theory, meron na dalawang factor. First is the hygiene factor. It includes the company policy, supervisions, working conditions, salary, safety, and security job. And next, we have the motivation factors. So, these factors are the intrinsic to the job, such as achievement, recognition, interesting work, increased responsibility, advancement, and growth opportunity. So, magbigay tayo ng halimbawa. Sabihin natin na isa akong empleyado at ang opisina namin ay mainit, minsan bumabaha, minsan ay walang kuryente, at yung mga katrabaho ko nagchichismisan. But at the same time, I stay in that company kasi maganda yung sahod, maganda yung growth opportunity, yung advancement, and yung achievement nandun sa kumpanya na yun. So at some point, may ginagawa rin naman ang manager namin to address those hygiene factors. So because of that, there are instances na na-overlook na ng employee ang mga masasamang bagay kasi there's still something that's good in that company. So, ayun ang sinasabi nitong two-factor theory. It says that the aspect of the work environment that satisfies employees are very different from the aspect that dissatisfy them. So, magkaiba. So, it depends kung alin ba yung mas matimbang that will keep the motivation of that particular employee. Okay, so moving on with our next theory, we have this acquired needs theory. So, sinasabi ng theory na to na meron tayong iba't ibang klase ng empleyado. So, yung ibang empleyado gusto nila ng achievements or they have the strong needs to be successful. Yung iba naman, they want affiliation or they need to be liked and accepted by others. And some of our employees even want power or they have the desire to influence others and control their environment. So, while some who has high needs for achievement may respond to goals, those with high needs for affiliation may be motivated to gain the approval of their peers and supervisors, whereas those who have high needs for power may value gaining influence over the supervisor or acquiring a position that has decision-making authority. So, ibig sabihin pala, as managers, dapat nating makilala ang klase ng empleyado na meron tayo. Because when it comes to succeeding in managerial position, individuals who are aware of the drawbacks of their needs orientation can take steps to overcome those drawbacks. So, for example, we can help this specific person na gustong marami siyang achievement to achieve more. So, through that, they can feel motivated throughout their stay in our company. So, for example, nakikita naman natin that this specific employee has the desire for power. So, as managers, we can help them kung paano ba tamang gamitin yung power nila. So, through that, all of our employees can be motivated. Okay, so we're done with our need-based theory. So next, we're going to discuss about the process-based theory of motivation. So under this theory, meron tayong tatlo. We have the equity, expectancy, and reinforcement theory. So let's start with the equity theory. So according to this theory, individuals are motivated by the sense of fairness in their interaction. Moreover, the sense of fairness is a result of social comparison we make, especially we compare our inputs and outputs with someone else's input and outputs. Ayan, so let's take a look of this diagram. So we have this person, referent, others, outcome, and input. So ano ba yung mga ibig sabihin nun? O sige, ganito. Gumawa mo tayo ng isang instances. Let's say example, ako, matagal na ako sa company pinagtatrabahuhan ko. And I've been doing my best to be in this position for so long. Kumikita ako ng 20,000 per month. Let's say, ganun yung sahod ko. And then, nagkaroon ng bagong employees, may bagong hire. Parehas kami ng position na kinatatayuan, pero nalaman ko that this specific person, ang sasahurin niya per month is 25,000. Diba? Parang unfair. Kasi pares lang naman kami ng gagawin, di ba? Ang tagal ko na dito, bakit ganito yung sahod ko? Parang hindi ba ako karapat-dapat? So, in that particular scenario, parang makikita natin na ikukumpara ko yung sarili ko sa iba. So, that other person, we can say it is our referent others. So, iwi-weigh ko syempre, ano ba yung input namin sa kumpanya? Ano ba yung mga nagagawa namin? Parehas lang naman. Diba? Pero bakit yung outcome or yung sahod namin is magkaiba? So, through that, parang nagkakaroon tayo na, parang hindi pantay. Right? So, ano ba yung mga different reaction ng isang empleyado that feels that there's inequity in their company? So, first, they may have a distorted perception. So, example, changing one's thinking to believe that the referent is actually more than skilled than the previous thought. Diba? So, next, we have increased referent inputs. So, encouraging the referent to work harder. Sasabihin ko dun sa bagong hire, ikaw gumawa niyan. Mas malaking sweldo mo eh. Bakit ako? Di ikaw nang gumawa niyan. Next, pwede rin namang they can reduce their own input or deliberately putting less effort at work or reducing the quality of one's work. Sasabihin ko yung output ay papasa ko, okay na to kasi hindi niyo naman binibigay yung sweldong kagaya niya eh. Di doon kayo umasa sa ibang hinar nyo na 25K ang sahod kaya sa akin. Kasi para magiging mediocre na ako sa mga gagawin kong output. So, that's what we mean when we say reduce own input. Next is increase own outcome, or negotiating a raise for oneself or using unethical ways of increasing rewards such as stealing from the company. So, hindi nyo pala dadagdagan yung sahod ko, kagaya ng sahod niya, at dahil dyan, kukunin ko ang stapler ng opisinang ito. So, something like that. So, nag-research into other things na iniisip ko na kukuha ko ng ibang things that might be valuable na makakapantay dun sa value na binibigay nyo dun sa referent others ko or yung kahahire na empleyado. Next is, it can also cause the change referent or comparing oneself to someone who is worse. Parang mag-self-pity ako na, ay, kaya siguro ganito lang yung aking sahod kasi hindi naman talaga ako magaling. Para lang akong si ganito, nakatrabaho ko din na hindi naman maayos yung mga ginagawa. Or, it can also lead to leave the situation or quit na lang ako dito. Di ba? Mag-resign na lang ako. Or in some other instances, seek legal action. So, or suing the company or filing a complaint if the unfairness in question is under legal protection. Ayan, di ba kasi bago naman mag-start ang trabaho, may kontrata naman tayong tinitingnan. So, someone, let's say, makita nila na parang liyamado ako sa part na to, I can seek legal action. Okay, next theory is all about expectancy theory. So, it says that individual motivation to put forth more or less effort is determined by irrational calculation. So, individual ask themselves these three questions. So, first, will my effort lead to high performance? So, ano ba yung in-expect ko? Ito yung dito pumapasok yung expectancy or the extent to which a person believes that high level of effort will lead to outcome of interest such as performance or success. Kapag ba binigay ko ng bonggang-bongga ang aking effort, magiging ayos ba yung aking performance? So that is expectancy. Next, we have the instrumentality or this answer the questions, will my performance lead to outcome? So it is the degree to which the person believes that a performance is related to secondary outcome such as reward. Okay, nabigay ko yung hinihingi sa akin ng trabaho, I will be rewarded. So that is the instrumentality. Next is, do I find outcomes desirable or the valence? So it is the value of the rewards awaiting for the person as a result of performance. So, ay, ang galing ko dito sa task na to. Feeling ko magkakaroon ako ng promotion. So that is valence. So, do I find the desirable outcome? So, as a manager, how can you influence these perceptions to motivate the employees? So, to influence their expectancy perceptions, managers may train their employees or hire people who are qualified for the job in the question. Low expectancy may also be due to employees feeling that something other than effort predicts performance, such as political behaviors on the part of employees. In this case, clearing the way to performance and creating an environment in which employees do not feel blocked will be helpful. Ayan. Next one, we have the reinforcement theory. So this describes 4 interventions to modify employees' behavior. 2 of these methods of increasing frequency of desired behaviors, while the remaining 2 are methods of reducing the frequency of undesired behaviors. So, reinforcement. Basically, para lang ito yung ginagawa sa atin ng mga bata pa tayo. Na kapag may mali kang ginagawa, papaluin ka. Or kapag meron ka namang magandang ginagawa, bibigyan ka ng candy. Something like that. So, in this reinforcement theory, we have 4 different kinds of reinforcement. So, we have the positive, negative, extinction, and punishment. So, positive reinforcement muna tayo. So, positive reinforcement, it says that positive behavior followed by positive consequences. O, meron kang ginawa sa kumpanya nyo, bibigyan ka nila ng bonus, for example. Ayan. So, that's basically the positive reinforcement. Next, negative reinforcement. So, basically, it means that kapag may nagawa kang masama, may something negative na babalik sa'yo. For example, meron kang mali ang sukli mo sa customer. So, nalaman ng manager mo, therefore, mapapagalitan ka niya. So, the negative there is yung way ng pagpapagalit niya sa'yo. O yung napagalitan ka. Next one, we have the extinction. For example, it just basically says that hindi mo papansinin yung masamang behavior na ginagawa ng employee mo. For example, yung employee mo is lagi siyang sumbong ng sumbong about his or her coworker. So, ikaw bilang manager, dahil alam mong nagpapansin lang ng taong ito na wala namang basis ang kanyang pagsusumbong, hindi mo siya papansinin. Eventually, marirealize niya, ay, hindi ako pinapansin ni boss or ni manager. So, therefore, titigil siya sa pagpapapansin. Next one, we have the punishment. Ito naman yung mapaparusahan ka because of the mali na nagawa mo. For example, isa kang cashier sa tindahan and mali yung nasukli mo. So, instead na 20 pesos ang sukli, nasuklihan mo siya ng 200 pesos. As punishment, kakaltasin sa sahod mo yung sobra na isukli mo sa customer mo. Okay, so basically, that's the 4 kinds of reinforcement. So, reinforcement schedule. Ano ba yung mga different schedule of reinforcement? First, we have the continuous schedule. So, reinforcement follow all instances of positive behavior. So, every time na may ginagawang maganda si employee, so, ipipraise mo siya. So, continuous, consistent and continuous. Okay, next, we have the fixed ratio schedule. So, it providing rewards every nth time for the right behavior when the right behavior is demonstrated. For example, kapag nakakota ka, kunyari ang kota mo is 20, nahihit mo yun. So, every time na nahihit mo yung 20 na kota, bibigyan ka niya ng reinforcement. Bibigyan ka niya ng reward, for example, bonus or leave, something like that. Next, we have the fixed interval schedule. So, it is providing a reward after a specified period of time. For example, ay yearly. Kunyari, sa mga, di ba, may mga Christmas party yung mga company. And that Christmas party, may mga binibigyan ng award, di ba? May mga ganun. So, that's what we call as the fixed interval schedule. Merong schedule kung saan set siya to give reinforcement, positive reinforcement, for example, bonus, something like that. Employee of the month, award, mga award, ganun. Next, we have the variable ratio. It is providing reinforcement on a random pattern. So, basically, kapag good mood si boss, bigla na lang magpapap donut, biglang magbibigay ng bonus, something like that. Random, very random siya. Okay. Next, we have it is the systematic application of reinforcement theories to modify employees' behavior. So, paano mo daw ba magiging maaayos yung pag-reinforce ng mga gantong bagay? First one, step 1. You have to identify the behavior that needs to be modified. For example, napansin mo na ang iyong employee ay chismisan. Oh, that's the step 1. Next one, measure the baseline. So, gaano katagal ba itong taong ito nakikipagchismisan? Is that for 30 minutes or half day na nagchichismisan pa rin? Gaano kadalas nakikipagchismisan ng taong ito? So, that's the baseline. Next is analyze the antecedent and outcomes. Ano yung epekto ng pakikipagchismisan ng iyong employee? Na, let's say, nababawasan ba yung kanyang productivity or okay lang din naman? Or something like that. Step 4, you have to intervene. Anong kailangan mong gawin? 30 minutes ka na nakikipagkwentuhan or half day ka na nakikipagkwentuhan sa coworker mo. Ano yung gagawin mo bilang manager? Pwede mong bagsakan ng memo or pagsabihan mo muna and something like that. And then, step 5, evaluate and maintain. Nakita mo na yung intervention na ginawa mo o may effect siya sa lahat ng empleyado mo and therefore, maintain it. Evaluate mo and then, if it's good, then maintain it. Okay, next. We have different factors as the major influence over worker motivation. That is the job design. So, we have here different terms. First one, we have the job specialization. So, and this entails the breaking down of tasks to their simplest component and assigning them to employees so that each person would perform few tasks in a repetitive manner. Example, sa isang factory. Di ba may mga process yun? May mga naghuhugas ng, kunyari ay, let's say, factory ng sardinas. Di ba may mga nagpupugot ng ulo ng sisda, may mga naglilinis, may mga nagpapak sa lata, may may mga naglalagay ng label sa lata, may mga nagkakahon. So, job specialization, it is important that your employee knows what they have to do. Ano ba yung kailangan nilang gawin? Kailangan ba sila ay nag-repack? Para hindi siya magulo, para ma-organize yung production nyo. So, that's what we call job specialization. Kung saan sila magaling, edi dun mo sila ilagay. Example, nakita mo siya, magaling siyang maglinis ng isda or magaling siyang mag-repack. Therefore, dun mo siya ilalagay. So, that's job specialization. But, this job specialization, meron siyang downfall. Ang downfall niya, minsan, dahil paulit-ulit ang ginagawa ng isang worker or ng isang employee, minsan tinatamad na. Kasi sobrang repetitive paulit-ulit nakakaumay siyang gawin, nakakabagot na. There are different ways. There are alternatives para maging maayos, para maging effective at motivated pa rin ang iyong mga employees. Number one of that is what we call job rotation. So, it means moving employees from job to job at a regular intervals. O for example, this week, dito ka muna sa pag-repack ng mga sardinas. Okay. Next, and then the following week, ikaw naman ang maglalagay ng etiketa o ng mga label sa mga lata. And then, next week, ikaw naman yung, let's say, maglalagay sa kahon. So, something like that. Nagro-rotate yung job. And in this way, hindi nababagot yung mga yung mga employees. Kasi every week, ibang challenge ang haharapin nila. Okay, next one is job enlargement. It means expanding tasks performed by employees to add more variety. Ayan, nakita mo, parang hindi pa rin ganun ka-effective. Parang kayang-kaya naman itong mga empleyado ko na let's say, what do you call this? Kayang-kaya naman nilang gawin yung mga trabaho nila ng mabilis, parang nakukulangan sila. So, pwede mo i-apply itong job enlargement. So, imbis na maghuhugas lang sila ng mga isda, pwede mo silang i-assign, for example, sa paghuhugas ng isda at pagpuputol ng ulo ng isda para sa production ng sardinas. So, that's what we mean when we say job enlargement. And last, we have job enrichment. It is job redesign technique that allows worker to more control over how they perform their tasks. So, job enrichment, basically, hinahayaan mo silang gawin yung mga bagay na, hinahayaan mo silang magtrabaho on their own. Kasi there are instances na may mga employee na mas gusto nilang magtrabaho nang hindi sila sobrang pinapanood. Hayaan mo silang mag-explore on their own means. For example, wag mo silang manduhan ng sobra-sobra, something like that. Minsan pababayaan mo rin sila. Kasi there are instances na mas nakikita nila yung potential nila as a worker when they do so. Okay, last, this is the last part of my presentation. It is about developing your personal motivation skills. So, how can you develop these motivation skills? First is consider seeking regular feedback from your boss. Ayan. Makinig ka ng feedback. Boss, okay ba itong ginagawa ko? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it okay? Something like that. And sa feedback, kung sabihin nila na may mga kailangan kang improve, then improve on it. Next one is be genuine in your desire to learn. Kasi wag kang plastic na ginagawa mo lang to para magpabango. Nagtatanong ka lang kasi gusto mong maging mabango ka dun sa boss mo. So, you should be genuine on your desire to learn. Kung gusto mo talaga siyang matutunan. Next one, develop a good relationship with your manager as well as the employees you manage. Okay, so relationship is very important when it comes to a workplace kasi hindi magiging effective ang inyong operation per se kung ang mga tao behind that operation ay magkakagalit. So, as a manager, it is really good if you can develop a harmonious relationship with your peers and your colleagues. Next one, number 4, consider finding trustworthy peers who can share information with you regarding your performance. Similar to number 1, it's like seeking feedback from your colleagues naman. And last one, number 5, be gracious when you receive unfavorable feedback. Kasi hindi naman talaga lahat ng feedback na dadating sa iyo is positive. There will be times na may mga negative feedbacks kang matatanggap. And that's okay. That's part of life. Kasi hindi naman tayo perfect, 'di ba, na tama lahat ang ginagawa natin. So, as someone who needed those feedback, accept mo hindi lang maganda, kundi yung mga pangit na feedbacks. Kasi those unfavorable feedbacks will eventually help you to grow as a professional. So, that's it for my presentation and thank you for listening.